Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The SCO summit culminated with Beijing showing off to the world its growing power in bringing together friends, allies and rivals. It was also a message that the U.S. hegemony is being challenged and a multipolar global order was possible. As India and China shook hands in Tianjin, the leadership in the U.S. is rattled by this dragon elephant bonhomie. And then came a flurry of attacks from President Trump and his top aides. U.S. has been bullying India. Will this further intensify the U.S. India tariff crisis and strain relations between both the nations? Here's a report.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit saw allies and neighbors with differences come together. A joint declaration condemning the Pahalgam terror attack and the Jafar Express attack was signed. Calls for a multipolar world echoed. All this amid high tariff war with the United States, which is singling India for trading oil and energy with Russia. A day after Chinese President Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin were seen smiling in a friendly conversation rattled US. Washington watched closely and then came out strongly attacking India's bonhomie with China and Russia. The first response after the SCO came from the US President himself, who described India's relations with the US as a totally one-sided disaster. Then he went on to say that India has offered to cut their tariffs to nothing. So far, no such talks have been confirmed. The next salvo came from Peter Navarro, who termed Modi's meet with Putin and Xi at the SCO a shame. Earlier, he attacked India for profiteering from reselling Russian oil at premium prices to Europe, Asia and Africa. The trade advisor in his prior remarks called India's laundromat for the Kremlin and Maharaja of tariffs.
It was a shame to see Modi getting in bed as the leader of the biggest democracy in the world with the two biggest authoritarian dictators in the world, in Putin and Xi Jinping. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what he's thinking, particularly since India has been in a Cold War and sometimes a hot war with China for decades. Putin gives India a discount on crude. They refine it, sell at premium prices to Europe, Asia, and Africa. It's nothing but profiteering. India cannot stand on the thin reed that somehow they need this oil to run their cars or cool their homes. It's false, just simply false.
Following Trump and Navarro, US Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent called the SCO summit largely performative. Referring to India as the most populous democracy in the world, he affirmed that India and the US will ease tariff tensions. During an interview, Bessent also condemned growing Russian bombings on Ukraine as despicable and said that options on sanctions on Moscow were on the table. According to Russian news agency TASS, Putin claims that the Ukraine crisis is because of coup d'etat in Kiev in 2014, which was provoked by the West. What is to be seen is whether this bonhomie witnessed at the SCO can create stability in a chaotic geopolitical scenario and if it can force the United States to tone down its rhetoric on India. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
As Trump's tariffs hit markets and economies across the globe, the BRICS nations will convene a virtual meet next week to discuss trade policy of the U.S. Trump has levied highest tariff rates on some of the BRICS members. Brazil, which is the chairman of the BRICS, will preside this virtual meet next Monday. The aim of this meeting is not only to discuss Trump's increased tariffs slapped on BRICS nations like India and Brazil, but also to showcase multilateralism and the need for multipolarity. Trump has been levying higher tariffs on trading nations and forcing them to enter in trade negotiations that is in the interest of the U.S. India's proximity to Russia has earned the ire of Trump and frequent salvos from top members in the Trump cabinet. Trump had earlier attacked the BRICS nations and accused them of attempting to de-dollarize and thereby promoting regional currency. But India has repeatedly denied any de-dollarization agenda in the BRICS while pushing for the internationalization of rupee. And to discuss this and more, I'm being joined by Daniel Block, Senior Editor, Foreign Affairs Magazine, and Raymond Vickery, Jr. He's a Senior Advocate Chair on India and Emerging Asia Economics, Center for Strategic and International Studies. Raymond, if I could come to you first, what is the sense that you're getting from the SCO summit? How is Washington really looking at it? What are the noises and the voices that you hear?
Well, thanks very much for having me. I think what you hear depends on who you talk to. If you talk to one of the Trump MAGA supporters, they really could care less because they have a view of Fortress America, both economically and strategically, which is completely at odds with reality. If you look at some of the more logical and sane approaches to international relations, even among those who are in the Trump administration, I think that there's dismay because the optics certainly are that the tariff policy of Donald Trump has driven a great democracy like India into the arms of China and Russia. I think that President Trump has shown that he has abandoned the traditional values of democracy, rule of law, institutionalization, which has made the U.S. a leader since World War II. The really bad thing, of course, that comes optically out of this is that a great democracy like India is participating in the legitimization of the transgression of the Charter, which prevents the kind of imperialistic invasion which Russia has done.
But Ray, this is not the first time. India has been a part of SCO. India has engaged China and Russia particularly so. I'll come back to you in your experience as somebody who's led negotiations as being part of the Department of Commerce. But before that, Daniel, if I could come to you. Now, we see Peter Navarro and his lashing out at India all over again, talking about how India is engaging China and Russia. But isn't that double speak? Because we see the Alaska summit and the warm handshake and the way the leaders met, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and the fact that United States of America is having active negotiations with China as well, where Trump says, I'm willing to meet him and invite him to Washington. Isn't this double speak?
I don't think the Trump administration, to put it mildly, is always honest about its intentions. I should add, too, that states are often quite hypocritical, not just the United States, but countries all over the world, in the allegations and criticisms they allege of others. In this case, though, again, is Trump really frustrated that Modi and the Indian government continues to partner with Russia in various ways? I'm sure to some extent they are, but I tend to see this less as a matter of frustration about India's Russia policy and more about just generalized frustrations that Trump in particular has with India. And the fact that Trump and Modi have kind of walked themselves into a position where being hostile and antagonistic toward each other is important to their personalities, it's important to their domestic political imagery, and as a result, it's really hard for both of them to back off. And so, you know, whether the United States is doing this, again, mostly because it actually wants to try and use India to apply more pressure on Russia, I'm skeptical that that's the main purpose. I'm not saying that it couldn't be one of them, but I'm skeptical that it's the main purpose. Instead, I see it more as, you know, a reason they can come up with in order to justify or excuse putting more pressure on India.
Okay. Ray, your experience in the Department of Commerce, you've done many a negotiation in the past. is this the imposition of tariffs or India imposing tariffs? Was there ever concern in the past the way Trump has really projected it to be a problem between India and the United States of America?
Well, it certainly is. I mean, President Trump has shown no appreciation for the difficulties that are presented by his conduct, particularly in regard to what happened with Pakistan after the terrible atrocity up in Kashmir. His claiming that he had intervened and settled the matter and brought peace, and inviting the head of the Pakistani forces to Washington, just shows no appreciation for the realities and sensitivities of what should be one of the great partnership between the two largest democracies in the world. One thing
Right.
that I believe everybody must understand is that President Trump, much less this advisor, Peter Navarro, are not the United States. They are a part of the problem, but we have a long tradition of over the past 30 years of reconciling U.S. and India, both in terms of commercial, economic matters, as well as strategic. And some
Right.
of those disparities are still there. We need each other, and you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater just based upon this atrocious and, I believe, illegal tariff policy.
Right, Daniel, coming to you very briefly, the fact that is this nuance or has this nuance missed everyone that SCO is not a cohesive house. It's a divided house because Pakistan is in the room with India.
I think it depends on who you talk to. I think most top foreign policy officials understand that SCO is not a cohesive unit in the way that, say, NATO is, that they see it as a different type of entity. Nonetheless, among China hawks in the United States, I think there's often a sense of panic or fear or frustration or concern with any entity or any organization that is China headed in some way or China related or in which China plays a leading or a primary role. Even if they
Right.
simultaneously, understand that not all the countries in that room agree with each other.
Daniel Block, Raymond Vickery, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Now, here is my take on BRICS versus SCO. While experts have spoken, why is BRICS more important to tackle Trump than SCO, which is a divided house? Listen in. BRICS versus SCO, two acronyms, one global showdown. Both claim to challenge Western power. Both sell the dream of multipolarity, but scratch the surface and the truth is brutal. BRICS speaks for the global south, rewriting the rules of money, trade and power. SCO, it's stuck in old grudges, crippled by Pakistan's presence, forever bickering instead of building. One bloc can tilt the global economy. The other can't even agree on security statements. So here's the real tease. In this battle of acronyms, who actually has the muscle to shape the future? BRICS or SCO? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. Let's rewind. BRICS started as a coalition of 5 emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Today, it has ballooned into BRICS Plus, adding the UAE, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and Iran. That's cross-continental muscle, representing nearly half the world's population. SCO, born in 2001, was China and Russia's baby, built for Eurasian security, later adding India and Pakistan. One bloc dreams global, the other gets stuck in border squabbles. One wants to rewrite economic rules, the other struggles to keep its members from tearing each other apart. So ask yourself, which one can truly rewrite the future? On paper, BRICS and SCO both sound like challengers to Western supremacy. But look closer, and their DNA couldn't be more different. BRICS is economic muscle wrapped in political ambition. SCO is a security umbrella weakened by internal storms. BRICS has no permanent secretariat, no bureaucracy. It thrives on flexibility. SCO is the opposite: secretariat, councils, rigid structures. But structures without unity is useless, especially when SCO is a divided house. That's SCO's curse. While BRICS may one day have a structure, and yet it will unitedly push for reforms in the IMF, World Bank and UN. SCO is stuck managing terrorism drills and making hollow declarations. BRICS can roar globally. SCO can only whisper regionally. Here's where the SCO story collapses. Pakistan. Its entry in 2017 wasn't a triumph. It was a ticking time bomb. The India-Pakistan rivalry now infects the entire organization. Every summit becomes a circus of accusations, terrorism, border disputes, proxy wars. Consensus? The SCO's decision-making engine gets strangled by this feud. Instead of drafting unified strategies, members waste time diffusing Indo-Pak clashes. The SCO may call itself the world's largest regional bloc, but its house is built on sand. With Pakistan inside, unity is impossible. SCO is less a club of partners, more a stage for enemies to glare at each other. BRICS versus SCO. One can, one can't. Let's lay it bare. BRICS has the muscle to rewrite financial systems, but the SCO never will. BRICS speaks for Africa, Asia and Latin America, while the SCO cannot. BRICS moves markets. The SCO doesn't even nudge them. BRICS can challenge the dollar itself, while the SCO remains locked in regional squabbles. One has reach, the other has limits. That's the blunt truth. Sure, SCO has strengths: regional security coordination, counter-terrorism frameworks, military drills. But then military drills with whom? China and Pakistan? One, we have conflicts with. The other, there are troops sitting at our border. But the global future isn't built on these military drills or the military parades. It's built on economic rules. And in that arena, SCO is a bystander. BRICS, with its flexibility and diversity, can set new rules. The contrast is so stark it's almost unfair. BRICS is the architect, SCO is the bricklayer. The world is at a fork. One road leads to SCO, a divided house, stuck in Eurasian quarrels, useful for regional policing but irrelevant beyond. The other road leads to BRICS, a global coalition of the global south, rewriting financial rules, challenging dollar dominance, and giving voice to billions long ignored. That's why Washington fears it. That's why Trump tried to crush it. That's why Western media obsesses over it. In this battle, the winner isn't hard to spot. The bloc that can truly make an economic difference is BRICS. The bloc that can't escape Pakistan is SCO. After hosting the SCO summit in Tianjin, Beijing is now gearing up for the upcoming military parade, or the Victory Day Parade, marking 80 years since Japan's defeat at the end of World War II. After hosting friendly and competitive neighbors and allies at the SCO, China has invited allies and friends for the Victory Day Parade. India, however, has not been invited to witness the Grand March at Tiananmen Square. More than 20 world leaders will be in Beijing to attend the event. Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean President Kim Jong-un will attend the event. Kim has already reached China as his bulletproof armored train touched Beijing station. This will mark the first appearance of the two leaders alongside Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. Some of other leaders include Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, and South Korea's National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik, Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico, and Serbia's Alexander Vučić. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, who attended the SCO summit, has stayed back for the parade. Also, Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, who also landed in China after PM Modi's departure, will also be there in attendance. She, who is also the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, will deliver a speech and review troops. Meanwhile, security has been tightened ahead of the parade. Business owners near the Tiananmen Square have been issued notice to keep their shops closed on Wednesday. You can watch the entire analysis on India Today Global's YouTube channel. Do subscribe for all the detailed analysis and world news. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Today Global. But before I go, here's a good news story from India. It began as India's experiment to go cashless. Today, the Unified Payments Interface, better known as UPI, moves billions of transactions a month and is spreading from New Delhi to Paris, Singapore and beyond. More than a payment system, it's becoming India's digital calling card to the world. But as UPI goes global, can it truly reshape the way money moves across borders? Goodbye and take care.
India's Revolutionary Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, has crossed another milestone, processing over 20 billion transactions in August alone. A staggering 34% jump compared to last year. But this isn't just about domestic dominance. It's a global financial wave, and countries worldwide want in. From the Eiffel Tower in Paris to the streets of Singapore, UPI is tearing down cross-border payment barriers, elevating India from a fintech success story to a global trendsetter. India's UPI now works beyond its shores. In France, UPI became officially usable at the Eiffel Tower, enabling visitors to pay for tickets in rupees with a simple QR scan.
साथियों, आने वाले दिनों में इसकी शुरुआत आईफेल टावर से की जाएगी। यानी अब भारतीय टूरिस्ट मोबाइल ऐप के जरिए आईफिल टावर में रुपये में भुगतान कर पाएगा।
Meanwhile, Singapore, UAE, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, Nepal and France have integrated UPI, allowing seamless payments by Indian tourists, students and business users. New horizons beckon. NPCI's global arm is negotiating to bring UPI's model to Peru, Namibia, and regions in Africa and South America, with plans to onboard 20 more countries by 2027. What started as a domestic, cashless revolution, UPI now drives more than half of the world's real-time transactions, far outpacing giants like Visa. At its core, UPI is built on simplification, inclusion, and reliability, connecting multiple bank accounts under one app, enabling peer-to-peer and merchant payments in real time, round the clock. The model has inspired other countries to rethink their digital infrastructure. With 20 plus countries signing up by 2027, UPI isn't slowing down. Plans to merge RuPay cards with UPI expands its utility, while startups like RS Software are crafting global payment integration platforms aligned with UPI, aiming to lower fees and boost transparency. In summary, 20 billion transactions in 1 month isn't just a figure. It's India announcing itself as a digital powerhouse, and the globe is paying attention. With Debangana Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.